Call a meeting Monday, November 11, 2024 at 4:30 p.m. at the Weston Municipal Center, 4747 Camp Phillips Road. You don't have a guest? Welcome. So you said we have somebody on the Zoom?
Just Tanya from Clerk Deeds.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Zagami,
Here.
Jordan,
Here.
Hubbard is excused. Hope Serrero,
Here.
Lumber.
Here.
All right. Item 4, public comment. Is it a public comment? No. Okay, item 5, approval of 10/14/24 Public Work and Utility Committee meeting.
Move to approve.
Second. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Item 6, acknowledge October 2024 water and sewer permits.
Move to acknowledge.
Is there a second?
Wait, who seconded? Okay, thanks.
Is there a second? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you. Item 7, CIP update. Michael?
And then I don't know if, we do have a new board member with us today too. We kind of, I think, glossed over that quickly, but,
Well, we already welcome him to the board, the
Yeah.
big board.
all right.
So this is,
Glad to be here.
well, I'm happy he's here and he wasn't here when I needed him, but that's that was for both of you. But,
We're gonna be good from here out.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Well, welcome to Public Works and Utilities. So hopefully enjoy your time here. As far as our streets, construction luckily is, a lot of asphalt is gonna be going down this week, so should be seeing roads, look like roads again. County Highway or on Weston Ave between, just east of X, the final layer of asphalt was paved last week. Pavement markings and shouldering will be early this week. And that should hopefully be opened up to traffic, by the end of this week.
Who's doing the marking?
I think they have Century Fence,
Okay, we don't use Portage County anymore.
not for the contracted projects. Portage County did all of the line painting for us as the village as part of our general maintenance, but as far as those larger projects, it's up to the contractor to schedule that themselves.
Sure.
So then that'll conclude that portion of Weston Ave for this year, and then in the spring, Von Connell to Ryan Street will be underway. Then Weston Ave between Alderson and Birch Street. The concrete curb and gutter was all finished last week. Integrity was out final grading or grading over the weekend. And paving is scheduled for, I believe it's Wednesday, Thursday this week out there. So they'll get binder down on Weston Ave. Their plan, I believe, was to turn around and get surface on the other streets that had binder and then try to finish up surface on Weston Ave, so. And then that one should be open shortly.
That was my question, is gonna be when open to the traffic.
Yeah, pavement markings on that one might have to wait until the following week, but we could maybe even see what we could do for temporary lane delineators just to let it be open, or at least under still in a construction zone. And then East Jelnik, if you drove by, East Jelnik's game binder today. And they'll kind of be a continuation effort throughout the rest of the week, so. American Asphalt has a fair amount of work to do in the village of Weston, and they'll just kind of be going from one of our projects to another project. As long as temperatures stay good, which it looks like will be okay this week and yay. Yeah, get a little close there, but.
Okay.
And then heading into next year, kind of going over some of the review plans for Schofield Ave with Clark Dietz. Just making sure we got that one ready to go. That'll probably be a early spring bid and get that ready for construction in 25. Probably look at procuring some of the traffic signal elements either yet this year in December or right away in January, just so we can get those on order, so we can make sure they get delivered before the project finishes up next year. And then Fuller Street, we do have a public information meeting scheduled for next week, Wednesday, here at the Municipal Center. That isn't necessarily something you guys need to attend to. It's not required, but if you want to, you're more than welcome. Just kind of going over the essentially from Rogan Lane south, there'll be a multi-use path on the east side of the road with a ditch on the west side, and then Rogan Lane up to Ross Avenue would be sidewalk on both sides of the road. Somewhat similar to Mesker Street, just a few blocks over, but I think the asphalt pavement width is about 2 feet less, but the grass terrace area should be about 2 feet more. So.
I just have a question on this. I think 2 meetings ago, you said you're gonna use the soccer field area for the
Stormwater. Yeah.
And then you're gonna let them play soccer after the water. That's not gonna work. Because each time you get the water in there, there's gonna be a sediment. And some fine dust, and they're also plus any contaminated pick up grease or whatever.
Yeah.
And those are gonna be there, and I don't think they can play. So,
Yeah, there'd still be some pre-treatment, so I guess the hope is to catch a lot of that suspended solids, the dust debris prior, and then the pond would be more for the infiltration aspect of it. So.
let's see.
Is it even being used anymore for soccer fields?
The only organizations that use Kellyland is, there's what Sean refers to it as Home Educators Group. So I think it's like a homeschool group that uses it in the fall, like 1 or 2 days a week.
I walk past it a lot. I
Yeah.
have seen 0 people using that all summer.
Yeah,
I mean, 0. Not one single time have I seen anybody on there playing anything.
yeah,
It doesn't mean that, I'm not walking by there all the time, but yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, I got used a ton. but
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it's not a highly reserved field or area. And it will be directed, the water isn't gonna be set to pool necessarily in the middle. It'll still be kind of directed as a ditch around. So, I guess during large overflow events, it would spill into there, but I think Ike's looking at trying to make it so it routes kind of along the outside perimeter of that for the most part.
That's good to that hill.
Yeah, and then it can get to the east side and kind of fall off into the floodplain there.
So I think that was about 4 feet deep. That's what we dig out of it to go to the landfill.
Sure. Yeah, because it does already have that natural depression in it, so.
All right,
So can we back up for just a
Yeah.
second, Michael? So Ross Avenue, Metro,
Oh, yeah,
Pine Street to Alderson Street.
yeah, missed that.
So is the city of Schofield doing something west of Metro?
They do have another Ross Avenue project. I'm not sure what that all entails.
Okay, so you're not coordinating with those guys necessarily then?
Yeah, so this one is a joint project with Schofield in that stretch. The north side of Ross Ave's in Schofield and the south side's in Weston. So,
Oh, okay.
like Green Hex and, well, the main Green Heck facility there is in Schofield, but then like their HR building and I guess what used to be like the Sugar Shack, that area,
Yeah,
that's Weston. So
okay, all right,
it's kind of a,
okay.
And then those intersections, like the Metro Pine Street is a 3/4 Schofield, 1/4 Weston intersection, then Alderson Street is 3/4 Weston, 1/4 Schofield. So kind of a,
So and those signs they got in there, they got approved by the village, or they didn't have to?
Schofield, well, no, those did get approved, yeah,
Your plan commission.
through Plan Commission,
Yeah.
those ones did.
Oh, it did?
Yep.
Okay,
And they, I guess, yeah, they knew that these projects are in the works, but yeah, we're looking at 2027 year construction, so. Didn't necessarily want to wait until then to get their signage up, so.
okay.
But then that one does have also a public information meeting this coming Thursday at the city of Schofield. Essentially, really just looking at that Metro Drive intersection. Trying to get better understanding from those property owners how to best align a roundabout within that corridor. Yeah, some options, get it really close to a house or some keep it fairly far away. So just trying to understand what is or is not acceptable to those property owners. And then we got I guess the other one that's under construction still right now is the Schofield Ave and Mesker Street. So they working on some of the concrete pavement repairs last week, and I think all those are done now. Curb and inlet work on the inside islands, as well as getting those bases poured, will happen this week. And I think it was a frontier hole and hand hole still need to be relocated, so the sidewalk work on the north side could get finished up there. But for the most part, they should be able to get the traffic lanes back up, hopefully by the end of the week for through traffic as it was. And then the signals are still looking like about the second week of December to be getting installed.
Can we go back to Fuller?
Sure.
In cross section, one of them has 14 feet driving lane and the other one has 15 feet.
Yeah,
Are
so
we putting bicycle path in there or what?
the I guess we'd be making it all 14 feet, kind of looking back at it. So these aren't final, these are kind of where we're at right now. Late last week and even today, I was going over some of these details with Becker Hoppy a little more, I guess, diligently. So we'd try to get a little wider boulevard or terrace area there. One of the complaints we get is, especially come snow season, if you've got sidewalk outside your house, a little wider boulevard gives you more room to shovel snow to, and you're not fighting all the snow from the street that got plowed onto the sidewalk too. So the more room we can give people on the boulevard, the better, and it also creates the greater separation from, I guess, from the traffic as you're walking. You know, in a 14-foot lane, you can still get a 10-foot drive lane or 11-foot and still have a 3 to 4 foot bike lane striped.
You do need a bike lane there because it take a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
They come off of Rust and they turn that way.
Yep.
Okay, so the right of way is the same, 66 feet all the way,
Correct.
but they varied the driving lane 14 feet some area, then 15 feet some area, but it doesn't say where to where.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's gonna be the same. I told them, let's not try to make two different ones. It's gonna just
Yeah.
be the 14 feet, so it's
Right.
consistent. And then, so the top one has the multi-use path on the east side of the road, and the bottom cross section is showing sidewalk on both sides. So, essentially, the top one is Schofield Ave to Rogan, and the bottom one would be Rogan to, Ross Ave.
So I put the bicyclist on the road, not on the path.
Yeah, so we can still stripe it with I guess that, the lane line for probably a 4-foot bike lane on the roadway.
Mhm. Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
So you're gonna bring back another cross section.
Yeah, that's still, like I said, preliminary design aspect. We're not final yet.
All right,
I guess that's probably the main items that are going on at the moment. And still have a bunch of other projects in planning. Design phase. I can let somebody else talk for a little bit. Unless you have questions on anything else that we have going on right now.
yeah, maybe sometime we should look at Alderson and Ross Avenue intersection. By Greenhack and Crystal finishing,
As far, like you want to see the conceptual layout there?
probably.
Okay, yep, can do that. That one has a little less, I could even send you guys that or bring it to the next meeting. For the most part, that property on the southeast, it'll eat into a little bit of that woods. But trying to fit a roundabout in there, Green Hex building on the northwest corner is kind of a constraint. We can't build into it, so that's kind of the holding grade there. So a lot of the impact at that intersection is on the southeast corner.
Yeah, you got truck traffic too.
Yep.
All right, anything else? Question for Michael?
Real quick, with the East Jelinek project, is the multi-use path being paved at the same time as the road, or is that kind of been put on the back burner?
No, they'll get paved with the, I think it's with the surface layer.
Oh.
So probably after binder, before final. Yeah, because they paved the one on Von Kennel north of Jelnik. After binder, so yeah. Yeah, so that one's in the mix too, somewhere in that fold of American Asphalt paving something in the village this week and early next week.
And the other thing is, maybe we should look at Ross Avenue, not in the future sometime. And look at the right of way. See if we can solve the issue in there or solve it because of a Kelly bar. He's sitting on the right of way practically.
Yeah.
And cross the street also. Cross the street is easier because the stoop is only on the right of way. The Kelly bar, he just built his addition on the right of way. But I think we should take a look at it, see if we can put the sidewalk. And then we can make a Ross Avenue wide if possible. Take a pedestrian off of this street.
Yeah.
Just a bicyclist can stay on this street.
Yeah, I know that was something we talked about probably 5-6 years ago. When we start looking at some of the other projects around the village.
Okay. Anything else, Michael? Item 8, the street operation update.
Yes, as of last month, our shouldering operations got done where we had all the overlays take place. Staff performed all the shouldering of the granite. Of that, we did which included the Mallet Court, Chadwick, Colleen, Conless, Parkway, Country Creek, Siberian, Sandy Meadow area. We got that accomplished. We had to wait till a little bit later to the end of the month due to the fact of the warm temperatures. With that being an inch overlay only, we can't twist and turn on it with the heavy equipment. Otherwise it mars the blacktop pretty good. So we had to wait for a little bit cooler temperature. That's what took so long to get that done. Still got the ongoing leaf pickup. Leaf brush pickup. We are behind by about 2 days on our backing of the leaf piles. That has been running a little bit longer on days since we got the rain. They did put in a couple extra hours here and there finishing up the street so they can advance to the next route faster. We're utilizing dump areas such as Kennedy Park and Mockmuller for the backs to dump off so they can get back on route quicker instead of having to run all the way to Ryan Street to dump. They can dump at those sites, which we can unload. We can clear out on later dates and times. The brush goes directly to Ryan Street after being picked. So, because the brush turnaround isn't as much as the leaf grass pickup. Keep them on the time schedule. Also down at Ryan Street. They're taking care of the brush and the grass compost down there. We are also take staff down there about 2 days a week to clean everything up, keep everything organized. Sometimes more, especially with the contractors coming in and out, hauling material. We had an instance with like a dirty blacktop type coming in with sod and dirt mixed in with it. We had to separate from the pile to be crushed. We had concrete work around the hospital done that we did, that the staff had done. We had inlet failure going on up there. And noticed some cracking of this concrete sidewalk. To get the 3 yard minimum, you gotta order 3 yards per truck to get so otherwise you get charged for 3 if you don't use 3. So we fixed the inlet and did sidewalk repair with that. And just keeping up so far on the street sweeping, the leaf pickup, grading. Before winter hits, and then, like I said, we have staff working down at Ryan Street, and that we screened 5,000 yards of topsoil for projects for the village, for our staff to use and for the contractors to use, and taking care of compost and asphalt, and that's just trying to stay ahead of everything like that. So. That's what the street staff is up to.
Any question for Forrest?
Real quick, so from the city of Wausau, I had heard they had discussed getting rid of leaf pickup because they're not getting the credits without leaf pickup in alleys and stuff. Is there any kind of change or anything that would impact the village for how we do that?
No, I mean, there's part of the stormwater credit policy that you can ask for is your leaf pickup. We don't have alleys, I guess, so that never came into any factor. We also, I guess, before the stormwater utility, before a lot of that stuff existed, leaf pickup has and still is funded through the refuse recycling fund. So it's not even necessarily a stormwater funded item, it's a refuse funded item because of the, I guess, the reuse of the leaves for compost and that aspect. So from a budgetary standpoint, if we didn't perform that service, one, I think residents would be upset, and then two, we'd have to find another way to fund staff, I guess, for.
So not the same type of issues.
Yeah, no, everybody has different ways that they, I guess fund an activity or the reasons why they can justify doing it.
Thank you.
Where is that graded? What road is that?
That's on East.
Like-
Oh, the grader.
This one?
That one is on, that one was Ryan Street, our dump site.
Is that Ryan Street?
Yes, it is. Yeah, to the left would be the to be structured
It-
dump
it-
site. The dump site.
Yeah, so
We
this
grade
is.
up the yards and, cause that got, it
It's like
gets,
the parking lot of the.
yeah, as you drive in.
As you, yeah,
Oh, you're inside the property?
inside the
Correct.
property, yep.
Okay,
Yeah, just off the screen would be like the large asphalt pile, like crushed asphalt.
right.
Yep.
Well, 7 and 8, Is that still the same ongoing issue?
I think what we finally got that resolved Friday. Thursday, Friday.
Okay. It is
Yeah.
For final.
Yeah. Final. There's a few tiny tiny loose hairs that I think finally got loose ends, not hairs.
Okay, I just saw in here that it was still 98%.
Yeah, I just kind of left that number there, but
Okay,
yeah, it is complete. It is working. There's just, yeah. There's an item with the generator that we wanted to get fixed by somebody. I guess that's the hard part is a lot of this stuff. We told our staff, go do it. We could do it, right? And it'd take all of 20 minutes, but we want to make sure it's documented so that if it does break, it's, covered under a warranty item and it's not, well, you guys touched it, so it's not our issue anymore. So.
good, thank you.
Okay, item 9, utility operation update, Josh?
Yeah, I was feeling inspired by Forest Report here to start adding some pictures myself. Unfortunately, I decided to
Yeah,
put
it
a
was
filter on there where you can't hardly make out. It was very dirty. It still looks dirty, but anyway, so I started adding some photos, thought it was a good touch, so, our well 2 carrier well rehab was completed last month. Just a couple miscellaneous well items. Caustic leak, we did get the air filter or air stripper filter and belts cleaned and replaced. Started pumping out our non-draining hydrants in preparation for the cold temps. Our guys, usually we hit about 6 to 8 of our old 2 nozzle hydrants, so we did prep and completed 5 retrofit hydrants. That's a couple of the other pictures there. We worked with Schofield to exercise some of our interconnect valves. Completed DNR quarterly compliance sampling, completed our EPA PFAS sampling, which we're switching to monthly collection for them until our well 4 is down, when we start getting our permanent PFAS treatment system going over there. And Michael touched on, we have a number of road projects, so we were lending hands, looking into valves and getting stuff shut off and opened up. And luckily, a lot of that's coming to an end. Wrapped up our DNR community service line material inventory. I do need to just jump on there and take a review to see how it looks like on the website. We got to find the best way to get it out to the customers so they can kind of take a peek at what their service lines are. I think it'll be a nice way to, as we keep going and do some inspections, we can kind of update things that, we have records, but some of our records are old, and that's, they have a question in there, is it known or is it unknown? And it's like, well, we have a record, so it seems known, but it might have changed since 1981 when we have the record. So it'll be a kind of a living, breathing thing as we continue on. Sewer side of stuff, we had a Mesker Colleen pump pulled, which is a few of the pictures there on the next page. That was actually put back in today.
What was wrong with it?
There was something with the motor in there and a seal fail. So initially it went in for a seal fail. I think they found something with the motor. So it took a little bit extra time to get it done, but I could probably have Dave speak on it a little more. He's the one who kind of pulls it and brings it in, but yeah, I know there was an issue with the motor, but initially it was kind of a seal fail on it. Our sanitary sewer jetting was completed. After we completed that, we got to some of our bad spots. Bad spots kind of have some poor flow lines, which we need to get into and kind of readdressing some of our flow lines so we don't have to have bad spots. After our bad spots were done, our guys are now jumped on to our lift station cleaning. I think they have basically all of them done. We're just waiting for the time to get to our Mesker Jelnik lift station. That's one where we need to kind of turn off a few upstream lift stations so we have enough time to actually pump that one down, because it takes in a massive amount of waste from the village. So the guys usually come in, I think last year they came in 3:30, 4 a.m. They were all kind of positioned at different stations, shut it down, give it some time, suck it down, clean the bottom. turn everything back on so we don't have any overflows. On that, cleaned and collected pH data at some of our locations that we have them set. Performed some of our general, or generator maintenance items. With all the vac truck use, we had a few issues with it. We had to have a pressure switch put in place temporarily while we waited for a replacement part. Jetter hose was also had to be repaired. We are close, I think, on our SCADA project, AT&T. Yet again, had a little snafu, I suppose you could say, in their back end. I guess I don't even know how far back we need to discuss it, but AT&T found they had an incorrect, I don't know what they call it, an APN, or they had something where they were building a network that wasn't going to be suitable for what we needed. So they thought they discovered that 2 months ago when they said they had an incorrect APN. So now they found somebody else who's incorrect. So I was talking with PJ Cortons, who's kind of helping us on the back end of our SCADA system. So they're working on it. It should be close. So hopefully once that's done, we'll have all our lift stations on our new SCADA. I think they needed a new PC at the treatment plant to handle some of the, I guess we have too much coming in now and the old computer can't handle everything that we have communicating with it, so. But we had still a number of utility locates, number of work orders, and I guess our contract work Michael mostly touched on. I guess other than our Bladel well rehab is ongoing currently, and everything else has been kind of touched on. Then we just have kind of our numbers of stuff our customers added, what our wells put out over the last few months, and what our lift station flows and hours were as well.
Anything else?
Not for me.
I was just gonna add the service line inventory, I guess was a requirement where
Oh,
yes, Josh had to kind of go through every single service lateral in the village of Weston, so. Or in the Weston utility, so that was a little over 6,000.
it was a lot.
And making sure we have those documented and, you know, the material type size, so. What, so.
So luckily for us, we don't have lead services. This was more kind of, I think, put together by the DNR. So communities that had a lot of lead service lines kind of start having a database where when they get one replaced, they can check it off their list that they know it's now not lead, so.
Yeah,
So do we have still lead pipe?
we don't have any lead pipe, no. So yeah, luckily for us, it was just an exercise of identifying all of our material type, but
I couldn't imagine if we had a ton of lead services, that would have been, well,
Yeah,
it still took 2 years to put it together.
still with all this work we do, and you gentlemen do, and the water quality is not there.
We're
We've been
trying.
complaining about our taste of water and iron and manganese, especially the businesses. Because some of them, especially the restaurant, when the boiler goes out, that's a big expense for them. When the water heater goes out, that's a big expense for them. So I know Basil, when he was, his water heater, he replaced it 3 times. So,
yeah, I mean, that's all items that are in the works, like our Mesker well was the, I guess, the dirtiest well we had. It's been off now for 2 years. And when it comes back online, it will have iron manganese removal and PFAS removal with it. 7 and 8 have essentially 0 iron manganese in it. Well, 6 has been running still well with no iron manganese. So, yeah.
what about Alta Verde? Because that's the one survey.
That one will likely be turned off here very shortly. Once,
That would be good. Then I think everybody can see that, really.
yeah, and then, yeah, wells 1 and 5, Alta Verde, Bladel, however you want to reference them, they will be, then, in queue for iron manganese removal and likely PFAS removal. Before they would really be coming back online, or at least back online as a main workhorse well, so.
Okay,
And then no one can complain.
so is there a time for these special masker?
So, yeah, so well, we submitted the safe drinking water loan for well 3 this past October. It was due October 31st. So this Thursday, we're meeting with AECom to kind of go over some of the final design elements up for well 3. We'll be looking to bid that out sometime this winter, early spring.
For next year construction?
And then, yeah, we can start construction. So there's certain requirements there with the safe drinking water loan where we gotta make sure we can't start too soon.
Yeah.
So, we have to make sure we follow those requirements, but
Sure.
it was always, I mean, it was initially meant to be with well 4, all that work happening at the same time. And then because of the iron manganese component, we needed to prove to the DNR that we were still eligible for the iron manganese removal process was part of the emerging contaminants funding, or we could use emerging contaminants funding for iron manganese removal. Because without the removal of iron manganese, the PFAS treatment would have been, I guess, less effective. So we need to remove the iron manganese from well 3 prior to the PFAS removal.
Right,
So the DNR made us remove that aspect until we could show that it was necessary. So we had that pilot study done this past summer. But it kicked us back a year on this drinking water loan funding cycle for well 3, so.
Some of that though will be funded from the lawsuits and then the reimbursements.
Yeah, so,
Which we
yeah,
looked at today, but there's, who knows when we're gonna get that one.
I'm gonna have to I won't have to give my presentation at the end here, but, yeah, yeah, we have the 3M, the DuPont, the BASF and Tyco, class action lawsuit information submitted. And it seems like they're kind of going through all the information people submitted, making sure all the deficiencies or, data that they didn't have, they're identifying and sending back to communities to kind of give them that one last chance to correct their information before I think they start putting dollars to the data or however they make that happen, so. But yes, we'd then be looking to use that money to offset some of any other costs we've had with, I guess, the PFAS treatment.
right. Question? All right, thank you. You were item 9, right? Utility. Item 10, surplus equipment.
So in the audience, we have Brian Schmidt, our fleet foreman, who kind of, he's kind of the next 2 items. You can ask questions to him. But attached is a list of auction items or pieces of equipment that I guess we've deemed no longer necessary to keep. And go through each of them, but for the most part, the vehicle was either replaced with a new one or a part is just obsolete, or it might be broken. It's not, I guess, worth it to us to keep the broken pieces, but somebody else out there might want it and be able to reuse it, so.
They look pretty good in the picture, especially that truck.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the guys do a good job of washing, cleaning. Usually the body work looks pretty good. It's
What is it, lipstick on the pig or something?
kind of, yeah. Which, I mean, but that also allows us to get, what's that, 30 years out of a dump truck?
Yep,
Yeah.
you said how many miles on it? It was.
I don't know if we have that for the dump truck, but I know I put hours on the grader for the next
I was
item.
gonna say that's usually hours, not miles.
Yeah.
Spend a lot more time idling, run.
Correct, yeah. So unless you have any questions, I guess we'd just be looking for endorsement to declare this property as surplus and put it up for auction.
They're ready, all of them?
Correct, yeah.
Pretty much. And then where you get your costs? How much they worth it?
It will go to auction. And then whatever I bid is what we get for it, but. I couldn't, a lot of that stuff, I couldn't even guess what it's worth, to be honest.
And we can put a reserve on, some of the trucks, but I think historically, we've always gotten at least what we thought it was worth, but generally more.
That auction site gets pretty good amount level of traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, what's your wishes?
I'll move to declare the attached property surplus and authorize disposal.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Item 11, purchase of replacement grader.
So as part of our capital plan that we, I guess, talked about recently here at the end of summer, early fall, included a kind of an allocation of $400,000 for public works equipment, kind of for this 2025 year. The main item we were looking to replace is a 2001 Cat grader. It's got 8,300 hours, which I guess kind of to Roy's point would be kind of roughly 400,000 miles if it was kind of an over-the-road type of truck that was driving. So we've got a couple options locally with used or with the Cat and John Deere representatives, dealers in the area. We had good luck several years ago purchasing a used grader. It was about $100,000 less than a brand new one, and it does everything that we needed for. The graders are primarily used for snow plowing, and then grading roads, or if you go back to Forrest's first pictures, we added out their shouldering. So they do get used in the summertime, but in our municipal application, they really are a snow removal equipment. They're the one piece of equipment we have that has down pressure, so we're able to scrape ice and get hard packed snow and a lot of those things off of it. So, we don't necessarily need the latest and greatest new one, but we do need something that's reliable and we can make sure is out there when we have a snow event. So I guess we're kind of looking at used ones that are kind of around that 300,000 mark, and then we figure we probably can get 50 to 60,000 for our used one. Just kind of looking at what has recently sold at some of those auctions online as well. So I guess staff did try a Cat grader out last week. I forget which township. So some of the townships out there, they kind of have a 5-year lease agreement with these with the dealers. So for every 5 years, they get a new piece of equipment and they turn in their old graders and get a new one. So that's what we did the first time around, or I think it was about 4 years ago. So I guess kind of be looking to get get a township's old grader new to us that already is ready for snow plowing season. That would be able to have a wing plow, and I guess not necessarily from a contractor who beat it up for the last 20 years, but municipality that probably treated it pretty nicely. I don't know if I talked in a circle there or not.
Any question for Michael?
Did they give you a trade-in value?
I guess we haven't necessarily gotten to that point. I guess want to make sure that we're good to go forward, because once we say we want to buy it, I know they get them that come in periodically, but it's I guess with the used equipment, we have this, and the first person that says I want it, they get it. So before they go through the hassle of, that's where the ballpark comes from. Like, well, looking at it, it's probably in this range.
I'm just assuming it would be less than what you're expecting to sell it for.
Yeah. Probably. I mean, or we,
I didn't see that in your.
or we could choose to keep it and sell it ourselves and still buy that, and then we auction off ours once we have the other one here. Yeah, we don't have to trade it in, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
We can buy anything outright.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to keep it, or is it gonna be more expensive to repair it?
It's not worth it for us to keep it, it would just be worth. Possibly if we think we would get more to sell it ourselves,
Yeah. So
but it's not, if we get another grader, it's not worth keeping
yeah.
the one that we have.
Okay. Accept the motion.
I move to recommend approving authorizing staff to purchase a used grader for the replacement of the 2001 cat grader for a do not exceed price of $305,000.
A second,
A second.
discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it, thank you. Okay, Michael. Now you can go make your telephone call.
Perfect. Um,
Presentation, item 12, 2024 year in review and 2025 budget and future projects.
Sure. So I apologize in advance. I wish I had about another 2 weeks to work on this and refine it. The hardest part is taking a lot of information and reducing it down. There's a lot of information and try to work on condensing it in future years here. But I think it's always good towards the end of the year to reflect on what we got accomplished, what we're planning to do in the future years, and how all that ties together. Because in government, we don't do anything quickly. So once we kind of start a plan, we need, it's kind of always good to revisit why are we doing these things and what momentum are we making, and those kind of celebrating those accomplishments along the way. I know I've showed this in the past. We've got, almost a little over 119 centerline miles of road, almost 14 miles of water main, 103 miles of sewer, 71 miles of storm sewer, and 50 plus pieces of equipment. So our staff is responsible for a fair amount of infrastructure out there in the real world. So sometimes it's almost daunting when you look back at it and realize what, to a certain extent, there's, 10 guys, street crew, 5 guys in the utilities, plus then some of us office staff here. So our public works budget is, kind of broken down. So for this part, it's the operating budget. It's what, kind of generally the general fund tax dollars type categories are used for. So it's our street maintenance, winter, traffic control, material handling, our Ryan Street site, and street lighting. So if you were to go online and look at our budget book, you'd get a screenshot of that. I'm not asking you to look at that. So in general, our operating budget from 2021 through 2025, we've added about 150,000 over those 5 years, so about 30,000 a year. A lot of it, the major categories there of the summer street operations, which is our asphalt overlays, our crack sealing, asphalt treatments. Winter maintenance is really our cost for salt and plowing, plow blades, and then street lighting, which is about 9%. So just keeping the lights on around the village at night is about 9% of our budget there. So those 3 categories alone are the majority, 93% of what we spend our money on in any given year. We've talked about the keeping good roads good, right? The proactive maintenance. So we do rate our streets every 2 years on a 1 to 10 scale using Pacer. It's every odd year. So 2023 is the last rating year we had, but a 10 is a brand new road. A 1 is a kind of failing road. So this is our Pacer miles by, or Pacer ratings by percentage of miles. So since 2009 to now, so the last 14 years, In general, it's maybe hard to see the trend, but our very poor roads are slightly decreasing ever more. And our poor to fair roads, our 3 to 4s, have decreased over the years. Our 5 to 6 ratings have gotten, a little higher percentage. And majority of that is a slight drop. There's a white bar in there, it's hard to see. But and some of that was inevitable. We had a large portion of the village that got built in the early 2000s. So we had a lot of brand new roads from 1998 to 2005. Whether that was the business park, the Sandy Meadow subdivision, just a lot of, I think it was about 50% of our street miles were brand new or rebuilt within about a 5 to 10 year window there. So we kind of knew that it was always going to be, the challenge was going to be, how do we keep those good roads in good condition and not let this start sliding the wrong way. So this is the data represented, I guess, with numerical numbers instead of the bars, but I think the success we can show is we're under 10% of kind of our bad roads. Those are roads that people generally see or will note that are bad. We try to hide those around the periphery of the village on low volume streets where not many people go. Our goal has always been to keep our thoroughfares, our collectors, arterials, no worse than probably a 5, a 6. Because we want to keep those streets in good active condition. If we let them go too far, then we're gonna just really be chasing our tail. So for the most part, we've got 90% of our streets in a condition that I think everybody would deem acceptable. We talked again, the treatment options, right? So our rejuvenators, our sealants, it's less than $1 a square yard. A street reconstruction is about $85 a square yard. So being able to minimize the amount of big costs and keep on the smaller cost per square yard projects are extremely important. An asphalt overlay, you can overlay a street 3 times for the cost of repaving it. So sometimes you will be like, oh, didn't you just redo this? Well, yeah, we'll overlay it, then we'll rejuvenate it. But it is way cheaper than just saying we'll let it go and then reconstruct it every 20 years. So, you can rejuvenate, chip seal, overlay streets a lot of times before it's the same cost impact that a full reconstruction would be. And then when we reconstruct our streets, I know we get this question sometimes, are you building it for trucks? Are you building it? Well, yeah, we want to build a good sub base so that it can be overlaid, it can be rejuvenated. We don't want to have a base or a structure failure underneath. We want the failure to be at that top asphalt layer where it gets oxidized, or it can only flex so much before it does give, but we still have a strong base underneath, so we can just repave it instead of reconstruct it in the future. This was, we started keeping track of our streets back in 2009 there. And just showing that costs have definitely increased over the years. It's almost twice as much now to chip seal than it did back in 2009. So making sure our budgets catch up and stay with us as we move on is important if we want to keep treating the number of miles and we keep getting more miles of street. Every time there's a new subdivision or development, that's more miles of roadway we need to now plow and crack seal and rejuvenate in the future. So in 2024 here, we got about 12.6% of all the streets in the village treated. Historically, our 5-year average is 8.3%. So about 9, just under 10 miles a year. This year we were just under 15 miles. So that was a good chunk. It was a lot. Our repaving, our reconstruction was almost 4 miles between the two of those. So that's a lot of that was TIF funded and some of our grant projects. So we know that's not going to happen every year, but being able to get those chunks improved, I think it helps us in the long term. You know, so again, we try to maintain our thoroughfare. So Ross Avenue, we rejuvenated this year, we crack sealed it. It was repaved 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So we want to make sure we stay on those items. Like the Sand Hill Meadow subdivision down in the southwestern portion of the village. Those were new roads. That was a developer project in 1996, 1997. So we got about 30 years there, 25, 30 years out of those roads. And then now we overlaid them. So we should be able to get another, 10, 15 years of that overlay. So try to make sure we keep maintaining these streets and hopefully are doing the right thing and stretching our dollar as far as we can. Our work in 2025, again, our overlays are kind of focused on some of this stuff up in Sandy Meadows. That was a late 90s, early 2000s era where sewer and water got extended and then a subdivision was built. Schofield Avenue was a major, we got a grant for that project back in 2011. The road got rebuilt. This is the second time we're putting a GSB treatment on it. It's still in good shape and we want to keep it looking pretty good for the next, 10, 15, 20 years before we have to worry about it. A lot of the DOT design standards are based on a 25-year asphalt life. We don't necessarily have that luxury of being able to replace our asphalt every 25 years. So, we have less volume, we have a little less traffic at times, but our main corridors, our arterial streets, they do get stressed this in a very similar way. So it's making sure we're staying on those streets, we're keeping them maintained proactively. Our transportation aids, we mentioned that 2009, 2011 era. This was the story of transportation aids when I started here in 2010. We peaked in 2011 and then we had a nice steep decline of about $100,000 a year for 10 years till we hit rock bottom in about 2021. And now we're on an uptick. So in 2025 here, we're still about $400,000 less in transportation aids than we were in 2011. So we're making some headway to get back to where we were, but kind of was a stress on the system for a while, trying to figure out how do we keep maintaining these streets without having to really get too creative.
What's that a function of? Is it of the state's budget? Is it a function of how much we have just happened to apply for or what they approved or? So
our transportation aid numbers are calculated on a 6-year cost. So you average your prior 6 years of construction cost. You can get it per mile, but our per mile aid would be is less than our actual cost. So this was actually our 2025 estimate. Not sure how well you can see some of this, but our 6-year average cost right now is about 7.29 million. Our 2023 costs were 9.9 million. If we went strictly off of the DOT formula, we'd be getting 1.2 million this year in transportation aids. However, there's also minimum and maximum adjustments. So we can only get 115% of our previous year's aid. Whereas, or inversely, your minimum can only be 90% of your previous year. So as we were dropping at only a 10% reduction. So I guess to a certain extent, we took advantage of this on the minimum side because otherwise we would have been even lower than what we were. But now that we're heading back uphill, this year we're missing out on about 360,000 extra that the formula says we should get, but we hit our cap, so we're missing out on that gap.
So do we look at that impact as we're looking at what projects and how much to fund when we pay for them?
Yeah, so that's a big part of what, I guess kind of the lesson learned, right, is the staff who came in then is we were on the downward swing. It was, why is this happening? How do we address this? And what can we do in the future so we don't see this roller coaster effect? And really a part of it is getting to a sustainable I mean, sustainable is the fact that we have a certain number that we shoot for, we're trying to spend each year so that we kind of keep that as a little flutter, not a spike, right? So we're probably somewhere in that $8 to $9 million range is probably, you know, as we look at what our operating budget is and our general capital costs are, that's probably about where we would be on a yearly average. You know, even if it was slightly less, we can. But I do have this projected out. I could tell you, you know, in 2034, what I think we'd be getting for transportation needs now.
Okay, so we're doing a much better, I mean, I guess you're somewhat limited. I mean, when you have a surge, you gotta
Yeah.
meet that, I get it. but-
And the goal is really to try to space it out, right? So we
Yeah.
had, even this building, the cost of this building, there's a public works garage here, so a portion of that factors into your transportation aids, and then you wait another year and you do a part of Weston Avenue, so you get that chunk, and then you get another part of Weston Ave, and then you get Schofield Ave, you get, so the last few years, we have tried to space out our projects a little bit so that you don't end up with 1 year of $20 million and then the next year is 4. And when that 20 million drops off, you're
Yeah,
really gonna be missing it. The one caveat here too is any money you get from the state in grant monies is not eligible for your transportation aid formula. So if we get a $2 million grant and say we spent $8 million on roads, we actually only can say we spent 6 million
You gotta
because
quickly rush something.
2 million was from the state, yeah.
Okay.
So even there, trying to balance, you know, how many projects a year have state funding in them versus local funding.
Because the grants don't come until spring / early summer, right?
Yeah,
And, yeah, okay.
so,
Okay, so that's why you've got those projects lined up there, shovel ready.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
You wanna try to have them available, so, but based on the max aids, we should be somewhere around 2028 getting our full funding, or getting back to what we got in 2011.
Okay, yeah, because we're good, I mean, that's 300-400, I mean, that's a chunk.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, okay.
So, and then, yeah, I guess besides transportation aids, you know, we have our other funding, so our debt service, you know, our tax increment financing and our grants, so. In the last year and a half or so, we've gotten about 10.6 million in grant funding for our streets, so. Again, good news is we got money that we don't have to spend from our local tax dollars. And the inverse, we can't claim it as money we got when it comes to our transportation aid formula, but. So we try to always partner that with then another locally funded project, so. I guess, yeah, that's kind of the strategy
You have a
there,
few years left, but then we'll be back.
yeah.
Yeah, where we should be, so to speak.
Yep, yeah. So then, you know, our street maintenance program is really dependent on that capital replacement program. That's where I'd say we kind of fell into some of that decline was the village kind of scrapped a capital program for years to be more affordable to the taxpayer. And then at the end of the day, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot because by not taking on projects and delaying them, we then reduced our operating funds too. So we want to make sure we know, like, if we can delay a project or when is a project gonna be done, so we don't have to spend a lot of our maintenance dollars to go take care of that street. Weston Avenue always comes to mind between Von Kennel and Ryan. 2012, we spent our entire street maintenance budget repaving that 1.25 miles of roadway. We didn't do anything else on any other street that year. Our entire maintenance budget went to that section of roadway, so we at least got 12, 13 years out of it. But on the flip side, we want to make sure we don't have that happen again. So yeah. I'll try to get through this here quickly. So our water utility budget, similar, you see this in the budget book. More or less, budget this coming year is the same as previous years. We have some decreases in expected chemical costs just to having wells 7 and 8 running. We don't feed phosphate, we don't have pH balance or any other issues there. That's a pretty bare bones treatment facility at that well house right now. So again, several years ago, we did a master plan where we looked at what should we be doing to make sure we're adequately running our water utility system. And really it was looking at capacity reliability, our water quality. With PFAS hits, we turned off our wells. We didn't have 7 and 8 up and running yet. So we weren't able to flush our mains for, I think it was 2 years. So that's probably was the biggest hurdle we had to face, was not being able to get the iron and manganese flushed out of the lines. And at that time, Blado, Alta Verde, our 2 worst wells, were kind of our main workhorses. So that was, talk about water quality, that was an issue, but we kind of didn't have another option at the time. So getting those wells, getting 7 and 8 up and running, getting 1 and 5 a reduced kind of runtime is really the goal here moving forward, and then getting the iron removal plants created for those. And then, like I said, we got a little over 100, I think 110 miles of main. So just trying to stay on a somewhat sustainable replacement schedule. So about a mile a year. And that intuitively almost gives us a mile of street reconstruction a year too, as we try to keep up with that replacement schedule. So this year we got back to our unidirectional flushing. As Josh mentioned, we had our 2 well rehabs this year, and then our valve and hydrant replacements, just some of that routine stuff. So our capital plan called for 2 new wells, 2 new treatment facilities, a new water tower, and then kind of specified some key water main replacement and looping projects. And in 2024, we did that. We got the 2 new wells online. We got the PFAS treatment, iron manganese removal work going forward for wells 3 and 4. We replaced 0.4 miles of AC water main from the 1960s, and we closed a half-mile gap on Weston Ave for better reliability and redundancy on the south side of the river, or of the highway. We kept moving forward with those. Next year, Fuller Street, part of that has an upsize of the water main where we currently show fire flow deficiencies. And then we'll be completing the looping on Weston Ave, and well 4 should be completely up and running with the PFAS removal, and well 3 will be somewhere in the mix of getting it up and running. So this was kind of that capital plan. So I don't know how well you can see my cursor. I'll just zoom in. So 7 and 8, we had accomplished that. Project 18 here was East Jellinek Avenue. Then we got this line through the mobile home park as well, which was also a AC water main from the 60s. This looping project, we have a future water tower site here on Weston Avenue, which someday we'll need to put in. But we were able to get this new water main laid as part of the Weston Avenue project there. So it's part of making sure we have these plans and these models ready to go. So when we have an opportunity for a joint project with Rothschild, the water utility all of a sudden isn't going, oh shoot, should have made that connection then. We're able to kind of proactively and plan for that project to take place. So then this one out here is kind of the cross-country route on Weston Avenue that's taking place. So a lot of these lines we've taken care of. Every year it's another 2-3 bubbles on this map that we're completing. So we're heading forward. Last year we did implement a simplified rate increase, which was an 8%. So we do have a positive net income being projected here. As mentioned, we've got the PFAS class action lawsuit information submitted. And we'll keep monitoring rates, but I forgot to throw in here, well 4 does have principal forgiveness of 1.3, 1.4 million. And well 3 will likely also have some principal forgiveness on the loan for the emerging contaminants. So the goal is to keep our rates affordable while still improving the quality that we deliver. Sewer utility, kind of be similar to that last rundown. The main issue there is the rates, keeping up with the remote and sewerage district increases. So we do have that 20% sewer rate increase for 25 going into effect this coming year. 5% on the base rate and 32% on the volume.
How
Oh,
are we
no.
doing on our suspended solids?
So that's the sanitary sewer or the storm water. I'll get there, but
Sorry.
I can jump ahead.
Nope, that's
Really,
okay.
you know, sewer is a little more basic, just routine replacement of sewer main, which when we have a street reconstruction project, either we replace it or we look at lining if possible. So Schofield Ave, we're in the process of getting that televised. We'll either replace the original sewer line there from, I think it was maybe even the late 50s there, or early 60s. If it's still somewhat structurally sound, we could line it without having to dig it up. And then the full SCADA,
Can we get our first camera?
it's ordered, it's not here yet. So we're not quite there. And then, yeah, our SCADA integration, we've never had all of our lift stations on our SCADA network, so having that here shortly will also help in follow-up from rain events, primarily snow melt, seeing where our infiltration really is hitting us the hardest. So in stormwater, so there, our big issue is the suspended solids, the TMDL, the phosphorus removal. So when it was the suspended solids, we were good. We were at 60%. We only needed to be at 20. But then the phosphorus issue came to light, and we're now at we're at 58.2 and we need to get to 68. So we're not far off. We're a lot better than most communities, but we still have those projects to get us to DNR compliance. So we did increase the stormwater rate last fall from $50 to $70 per ERU, which has given us a projected net income here of almost 300,000, which will help us be able to pay off our debt or take on capital projects here, with the main one being the Business 51 storm pond. I believe we have to get about 140 pounds of phosphorus removal to meet our requirements for that reach, that part of the village that drains the Wisconsin River. This project will get us about 120 pounds of phosphorus removal. So for the most part, not all, but most of what we need to show compliance for that tributary area to the Wisconsin River will be accomplished with that one project. So we did submit the Clean Water Loan Fund this past October. We'll be looking at getting hopefully about a 20% principal forgiveness on that. And then we also had submitted a urban non-point source stormwater construction grant, which will have some funding behind it as well. So
I didn't think we were getting anything on that initially, right?
it's not a lot. I think it's about 200,000, but still 200,000. Total project is estimated around 3 million. So 70% of that, we're probably a little over 2 million of that. But anything and everything is helpful. So I guess, I try to conclude here. The numbers are always astounding when I think about it. As we get through public works, the water utility, sewer utility, stormwater utility. And it came up earlier, right? The refuse recycling fund, some of those costs that we have as the public works department aren't even necessarily captured just right here. So if we didn't even do a capital project, we still have a annual operating amount of 9.7 million. So whether you guys know it or not, you kind of are overseeing $9.7 million every year outside of any capital projects. So just kind of a take home point there that there's a lot that goes on here at the village, and it's not always widely known or understood how much we oversee. But any questions, I can go back, otherwise I can send this out too. So you have it.
How are we doing on the suspended solids since we had the blip in March?
Oh, that way for, yeah, we haven't had any sewer spikes since then.
No.
So I don't know what that was.
I mean, is it, do you have a pretty good idea, but you can't prove it and they are changed their?
Yeah,
Or is it,
I don't know.
you don't know, okay.
No, we haven't seen it, and I guess maybe when that time of year comes around next year, we'll see if it was a time of year type thing but I know going into next year, I think we want to do some of our own sampling as well to maybe kind of split Wenred Mountain samples, maybe offset it when we sample a little bit differently, see if there's maybe somebody putting something in, but then it's, you know, you'd have to blanket the whole system to kind of really check it and, you know, maybe we leave well enough alone. I don't know. It's.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, so I misunderstood what you were asking there. The sewer suspended solids,
Sewer
yes.
Suspended, sorry.
Yep, no, my bad.
That's what I was interested in.
Yeah, we definitely, we haven't seen anything since then. From Red Mountain Metro, we haven't been told that they've depleted their source of anything, so. Yeah. I don't know if, yeah, we did contact a few businesses. I don't know if somebody said, oh yeah, it wasn't us, that then went, whoops.
Yeah.
Need to close that valve, but
That's why I thought maybe it makes sense to continue to remind them along that better.
yeah, and as we do our sewer jetting, you know, the guys note, you know, hey, there's a lot of extra grease in this line, or it looks like there's maybe some chemical paint, whatever it may be, a lot of sludge, sand, so.
I'll have to include some pictures next time we get it.
Yeah,
There's the white hose coming back and when it's, somebody's putting paint down there, so.
I think you should develop a street lighting plan. Because some of our streets don't have any. Or we have one at the intersection.
yeah, and that's generally what we have only is, I mean, we do have a street lighting policy. I guess part of that, if there's areas you know of, we can look at it. I guess, right, that's the balance. Just street lighting alone is 9 to 10% of our operating budget every year. And
I think we should have a plan at least, take a look at it, because I think some policy said we should have, if people come and complain, we take a look at it.
yeah, and then it's
I think we should
intersections.
head up there
Yeah,
and take a look and see if we can develop a plan and implement it over the years, like you're doing for other projects.
sure. Okay.
Other question for Michael?
You know what the revenue was from the stormwater utility tax?
So it's a user fee, it's not a tax, but.
Right, when I wrote that check, it sure felt like a tax.
Yeah, our user.
Best joke you had all day.
Our stormwater user fee, 2024 estimate is 973,000.
Okay, and how do you determine how much you're gonna spend on the stormwater utility then in a year? I mean, obviously, they don't necessarily correlate, but are you trying to hit a balance?
Yeah, I mean, putting street sweeping requirements, inlet repairs, and then, you know, kind of reserving, I mean, the main reason for the stormwater increase was so that we could start implementing the projects to get ourselves in compliance with the DNR for the phosphorus removal projects. We've got if you remember, was it the spring of 2019? I think I called it the great melt of 2019. We had a lot of areas in the village that flooded due to inadequate or lack of stormwater conveyance structures. So everybody in the village gets, if you have a developed property, you get a stormwater bill. So, you know, we do try to tackle several of those projects every year to ensure that if that happens again, those people are benefiting by the stormwater utility. So like this last year, we installed storm sewer on Chadwick. and Colleen as we went through with the asphalt overlays. That was an area that did flood that year. We've had other projects on Teagan that flooded that year. Top of my head, every year, you know, we try to tick a couple of those projects off the list so that we are making sure that everybody is getting a benefit from the stormwater utility.
So do you feel like you're keeping up with the DNR?
Yeah, I think we're in a spot where we're showing progress. So every year we submit our MS4 report to the DNR. And one of the elements now is showing them what we've done to improve our suspended solids, our phosphorus removal, and what we're doing to continue that moving forward. So our street sweeping, our inlet cleaning, those are items we report on as far as how much material we remove from the ground, from the pipes, and didn't get into the waterways.
We used to get the area get flooded from Municipal Street all the way to Mesker. All of the stores, they were getting water in there. Then we put that ditch behind the CWE. Then we brought it to Municipal Street, then we didn't know what to do with it because there was no place to go. So until we put that 6-inch on Mesker, then we can bring that one on. All right, anything else? Other question? All right, number 13, next meeting dates. Monday, December 9th, 2024 at 4:30 PM. That's a regular meeting. Also Monday, January 13th, 2024 at 4:30 PM, regular meeting. Topic for future meeting? Is there anything? None? Remark from staff?
I guess I just noted some of those public information meeting dates, times where you guys are definitely welcome to come and attend. It's not necessarily required. It's not an official Public Works Committee meeting, but it is, I guess, a public meeting. So.
But if you come, there are more than 3 of us, you gotta put them in there.
Yeah, if more than 3 of you are gonna be there, or if at least 3 of you think you're gonna be there, I guess let me know if you plan on attending and we can just make sure that we agendize it as a notice of possible quorum, but no action will be taken.
Okay. I take it item B2, November 20th, 2024.
Yep, correct.
Okay. Remark from committee member. Is that
I
right?
want to say congratulations, Joe, and welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Same thing. Also, I just wanted to thank all the staff that were involved with election day and trying to keep everything running smoothly. It was really impressive to see the staff out in the parking lot in the rain, trying to direct traffic. And I know for a lot of people, that's a kind of a stressful day getting here and getting that done. And I came early in the morning and I thought it went really smooth. So I was really impressed by everybody's hard work. So I wanted to make sure that they knew that.
Oh,
I'll try to educate myself. I'll probably have a whole bunch of questions.
Perfect.
all right. No remark from me, no announcement. Item 17. Accept the motion to adjourn at 1:53 PM.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I have it. Thank you very much.